2000 plus. During this time period, my family and I moved to Ashland, Oregon. I was working for Charles Schwab. I can live anywhere in the States. My daughter went to high school and university in Ashland. Ashland is known for its diversity. As a college town, it is quite open. There are many different spiritual expressions around. We have 3 different kinds of Buddhist sects in town. There's a beautiful Buddhist temple in the Coasting Valley. It is located about half an hour from Ashland. The foundation for meditative studies exists in a beautiful mountain setting. My wife and I would attend many events which took place up in the mountain. At times it would be snowing outside, and we would all be meditating inside for the planet. It was like a scene from Tibet. Words can't describe that experience. Mafu's message was to be compassionate and live in compassion. Nobody needs to be converted. Everyone has that spark inside of them. Charles Schwab, Senior Staff Web Developer, 1999 to 2009. Charles Schwab, San Francisco, California. Developed, maintained, and upgraded cutting-edge financial industry software. Created .NET web-based software for operations and brokers. Charged with all phases of development, including database design, store procedures, and Java. PAT, lead developer. Build program called PAT, which tracks all transfers of authorization, POAs, going out for a broker when they leave the company. Each broker signs an agreement saying they won't take any clients with them when they leave the company. This program tracks all ex-employees for a certain period of time, depending on their warning level. It will send out an email when the threshold is met. The legal department has used this tool for bringing lawsuits toward the ex-employees who have violated their contract. In the first month that this was put into production, we found one ex-broker. They had $150 million of assets which left the company to the new company where he is now presently working. Built a series of reports using MS reporting services that they use daily. Written in C#, .NET 3.5, Team Foundation Server, JavaScript, Ajax, Microsoft SQL Server, Teradata, SharePoint, and Visual Studio. This software project has resulted in Schwab not having to go to court to protect their clients. PAR Letters, lead developer, generated custom letters to be sent out for various rate changes. Built first a custom tool where the broker has to custom build the letters. The second phase automatically creates the letters from a database job. This system saves Schwab 40 hours a week in input alone in the San Francisco office. No longer does a rep need to input the letters. C#, Microsoft SQL, SharePoint, WikiLeaks, .NET 2.0, Team Foundation Server, and Visual Studio 2005. Pricing Desk, lead developer. This program tracks in a queue all pricing changes requested for a client and is part of a web-based software tool on each broker's desktop. Each request is reviewed by the pricing and analyst team for approval. Business Calculator, lead developer. This is a tool utilized by the brokers to calculate naked spreads and straddles, and it's part of each broker's desktop tools. It is developed in JSP, Java, JavaScript, WebLogic Server. Converted calculator to C# using JavaScript, SharePoint, Visual Studio 2.5, and .NET 2.0. RPM program. This program calculates how much Schwab makes for each account. If a client calls for a discount, this tool displays around 30 key areas displaying how much profitability is made on the account. As a co-developer of this program, we won prestigious awards presented by Charles Schwab himself. Stock market game. Developed a stock market game using Java and WebLogic. The game was used to determine a person's portfolio in real time. The game was used to see who the top teams in Schwab were and the top brokers. Each player was given $100,000 of play money, and over a 3-month span, Schwab could see who was the winner and all the strategies used. Here's comments from employees that work with Richard. Dan, Senior Project Manager, Vice President of the Bank of the West. I worked with Richard on several crucial efforts at Charles Schwab. Richard was the primary developer and contact representing his technology group on the projects I managed. He was adept at interpreting the business requirements, which were often in flux. Richard could be relied upon to foresee the potential risks and helped us to mitigate them before they became an issue. Most impressive about Richard was his ability to work independently, relying on his own research to find the right sources of data in a highly complex organization. The result was that Richard developed a brilliant tool that allows Schwab to stem the historical asset attrition issue that costing the firm tens of millions of dollars. Maurice, creator of things at M.W. Wright. Humility and intelligence are the first 2 words that come to mind when I think of Richard Fletcher. We worked together on the same development team for a number of years. In addition to his affable nature, what sets Richard apart from other developers is his discipline around coding. Whether it's documentation, technical project management, or coding itself, Richard is better than anyone when it comes to identifying and implementing the shortest, most efficient path from point A to point B. Win Sean. Working with Richard and his web development team was a breath of fresh air. Richard worked with me on several web development projects over the period of about 5 years. He asked the right questions, was able to converse in easily understood terms to me, stated more technical development language for his own team, and always found ways to find a creative solution to address our needs. The results Richard and his team delivered allowed for significant productivity gains across multiple business units. Paul, I have had the pleasure of working with Richard for 8+ years and can't say enough about his contribution for the success of our team. Richard has a tremendous work ethic and produces quality solutions that usually exceed the expectations of the business partner. Richard has been a consummate team player and is very quick to offer his help and extensive programming knowledge with others in any capacity. Additionally, he is able to grasp easily the needs of the end users and quickly develop top quality, high-impact applications utilizing the most current technologies. I would recommend Richard to anyone looking for a proven top-level performance. Eric, software application engineer at Charles Schwab. I've worked with Richard closely on the same team throughout the last 9 years or so. His extensive experience coding and his ability to understand the business makes for an excellent combination. In addition, during my time working with him, I've known him to be a person of integrity and intelligence, as well as someone who brings a positive attitude in his daily efforts. Richard has made a strong contribution to our programming team, and I recommend his work in this capacity. I worked for Charles Schwab for almost 10 years. They laid off around 12,000 in a 10-year period. I love my job. It was extremely creative. I won various awards and even was presented one by Charles Schwab himself. There was a great team that I worked with. Unfortunately, I survived 10 out of 11 layoffs. My last project would save the company billions of dollars. Everyone who worked on that project got laid off. I was given a very generous severance package on the condition I wouldn't sue over age discrimination. I spent a few weeks looking for a job. Find this job below. I worked on this project for about 6 months. The software was written for the salesman at Panasonic. Imagine the salesman going to Walmart and they would have a software program where they would have sales projects for the various items Panasonic would sell. There are many different factors involved. I created temporary data storage where when the salesman went to a store box, they could upload their business to the online server. Unfortunately, this was during the recession. Panasonic lost over $1 billion in a quarter, and the project never got released. I was laid off. Grin. Flexus and Stillhead, senior staff web developer for Stillhead Advertising. I was the lead developer. I created a forecasting desktop application for Panasonic using Adobe Flex, MS SQL, SQLite web services, and PHP. Flexus. I loved working with Flexus. My salary went down by half of what I was making with Charles Schwab. I worked with Chris Fossey, who was from Canada. He was a bright young guy and had the pleasure to work with. Every day, we would take walks around town. I'd been building next-generation medical insurance prototype software using Adobe Flex, Pure MVC, Microsoft SQL, web services. Developed common base code for desktop and web applications. Developed and maintained $8,000 to $1 million medical insurance software program working in C# and Visual Basic. Built a claims web portal in Microsoft MVC using Microsoft Entity Model and linked to SQL. Built WCS servers. Converted quantum choice applications to be 508 compliant. During my time at Lexus, we sold our house. We made a decent profit. About 5 years before, our house jumped from $340,000 to $600,000 in 2 years. Crazy. The Ashland market was dictated by the Northern California market, wild mood strings, which unfortunately exist today. In Ashland, 3% of the market is not rented out. Rents have skyrocketed. One day, I got a phone call and I was asked, "Do you want to do a phone interview?" I said, "Sure, why not?" Anyway, I did this interview, and about 30 minutes later, my wife said, "You got the job." And I said, "What job?" This is how we ended up in Oakenham Park, Kansas. I'm not sure how stable it is being a government contractor for the government. If you're a government employee, your job is really secure. If you are a contractor, well, here's my story. I was in charge of a program where once a week, various livestock insurance was being sold. For example, at 10 a.m. Central, on a Tuesday, the doors would be open to accept live orders. We usually run around $3 million of insurance before the money would run out. My job was to make sure that the doors were open exactly on time and not a minute before. It was exciting to watch. It's like a mini stock market. Anyway, in March 2013, the government was having financial problems, and I got laid off. Here's some remarks by Mike Reed, who is the lead engineer. Richard is highly experienced and dedicated to working with the latest technologies to maintain his edge. He has a strong ability to translate business requirements into practical solutions. While Richard and I were never working on the same team, our teams needed crossed a number of times. I could trust that when Richard was involved, the job would get done, and would get done right. Richard is a good soul. Is the type of teammates you value both personally and professionally. So I've worked on EDAS, an online program for buying livestock insurance for the USDA. Built a fire watcher program about monitoring fires coming in to decide starting times for the AIP's buying livestock insurance for farmers. Automated a manual authorization process which allows AIP agents to modify key data with a special key. This was a time-consuming process which involved different groups inside the IT department. Received secret clearance. USDA, Booz Allen. I worked with 3 other individuals with Booz Allen. They were a delight to work with. We maintain a GIS mapping system for all the farms in America. We worked on enhancements and fixing bugs. Our team always looked at the future. Microsoft in a few years was not going to support the browser the USDA was using. The Esri GIS engine was not going to support Silverlight in a few years. We built 2 proofs of concepts, one using the .NET technology, and the other one was a JavaScript version. We would have easily finished 2 years ago. Fortunately, things don't always work out. The project was stopped and started around 6 times. Our team went from 4 to around 20. Millions of dollars were wasted. This past year, our 4-man team didn't have any work to do, and so we all got laid off. Now, in the Esri GIS world, there's a steep learning curve. Our team worked incredibly together. If and when this team has to develop a new system, all the brainpower is gone. There's no one to support the system. Build a prototype of the new USDA GIS system. Build systems based upon HTML5, Angular, Bootstrap, and MVC5. Maintain and adding new features to the USDA farm GIS system. This software has GIS maps for farms all across America, including Alaska and Hawaii. My job has to make the software run faster and more efficient. I also have added more features that the business needed. Craig. I had the pleasure of working with Richard for 2 years at the USDA, where he is a core developer on our GIS system. He has excellent talents across multiple technology platforms that make him a well-rounded developer with both breadth and depth. His ability to offer multiple solutions to every obstacle makes a dramatic difference in the productivity level of our team. His optimism and determination leads the entire team with a can-do attitude. Todd. Working closely with Richard during the past few years, he is always eager and dedicated to any task. Indeed, his lightheartedness and internal optimism ensures a positive working environment and promotes cohesiveness within the team. He constantly delivers complete and competent code on time, seeking out peer reviews to ensure the same and always accepting and open to suggested changes, even if it means throwing away everything and starting over. Ross Short. Richard is a highly skilled developer with 20 plus years of experience. I have been his team lead for 3 years. Richard's knowledge of .NET and expertise in development was a huge advantage to our entire team. He put this skill set to work in order to remediate code defects. Along with his undeniable talent, Richard has always been an absolute joy to work with. He is a true team player and always managed to foster positive discussions and bring the best out of other employees. He built what'scooking.treasures.com, a worldwide ethnic recipe website, allows the user to use the smartphone as a device for grocery lists and planning meals for the day, week, or month. Each recipe calculates nutritional information from the USDA database. Capability to search for recipes by nutritional content, author, and many other unique criteria. One of the only sites on the internet that will allow the user to search by nutritional content. Added around 100 new ethnic ingredients to the USDA database. Built site and added over 700 recipes from our worldwide collection of recipes. Built site to accommodate smartphones and standard web applications. This is my pride and joy. I've collected recipes from my travels from all around the world. During the 80s and 90s, I built a real simple database to hold my recipes. Years later, I worked as a contractor for the USDA. They had a nutritional database that contained all the nutritional information for thousands of food. This database is free to the public. I incorporated this database into my system. I always learned through building. None of my past employers were using NBC, a new framework for the .NET platform. So I learned it and used the latest technologies into my project. Here's some info directly on my site, Why to Register. Here are some of the benefits. It's free. Our goal is to provide you with quick and easy tools to assist you in all areas of cooking. Each recipe has a nutritional label that you can use for a healthy and tasty recipe. Using your smartphone, you can have a shopping list for each recipe on hand while shopping at the store. While you're making the recipe, your smartphone will help you prepare your meal by easy-to-use directions. Most of the recipes take less than 30 minutes. It's a great and easy way to share and discover new recipes. Since 2009, I've been laid off 5 times. Before that, I never got laid off. The first time with Charles Schwab was quite the shock. I really felt it. I thought I survived getting laid off. A good friend of mine got laid off early in the morning, and it was after lunch I got the phone call. It's ever so common now, nowadays that companies lay people off. What is happening in America? Millions of people are getting laid off, and their families and lives are dramatically changed. There's no loyalty involved. My boss, who laid me off, got laid off when he was a certain age. Probably the person who laid him off will get laid off. Human beings are not some objects who you can hire and fire. Each human being is precious. Why don't Americans have employees on the board of directors? Why is it the entire company directed towards making profits for the shareholders? Have we lost our sense of morality and ethics in our corporate culture? I see each time I got laid off, it was easy to recover. Been there, done that. Yet, do we really need to go through this? When I got laid off from Schwab, they made a tremendous profit. Is the company more interested in profits than the welfare of their employees? There must be a balance. Employees are spending more time at work than their families, and yet the company still will lay them off. In all the layoffs I've seen, I really didn't see a real reason to lay people off. The company could have taken a financial hit without laying people off. I have yet to see my salary equal to what my salary was 8 years ago. So many Americans are going backwards in salary, while the 1%ers are having huge increase in wealth.
Barbara and I love the Nelson Art Museum in Kansas City. They have this amazing Kuan Yin temple. There's a beautiful statue of Kuan Yin there. Kuan Yin is the embodiment of compassion. She is known as a bodhisattva of compassion. This is a quote from the Nelson Art Gallery. A jewel of the museum is the Chinese Temple Gallery, which displays a 12th century polychrome wooden figure of Kuan Yin of the Southern Sea, heralded as the finest sculpture of its kind outside China. According to the tour guides, this statue was found in China around the early 1930s. It was found in the snow when it was about to be used as firewood. China at that time was having such difficulties. During this time, the Nelson Atkins Museum bought a huge investment of Chinese artwork worth millions today. The atmosphere in the temple is out of this world. You walk in and the room is flooded with love and compassion. Yet for many people, it's like the scene from Chevy Chase and National Lampoon Vacation, where Clark Griswold sees the Grand Canyon for the first time. He simply nods his head and goes on his way. What makes us miss the experience? It's like a dog whistle, only a dog can hear. The whistle is blown, but we can't hear it. Kansas City is the heartland of America. Here we have this incredible temple. Imagine a universal compassion that is manifested in the temple room. Overland Park Arboretum. This is one of my wife's and I favorite place to visit in the Kansas City area. My wife and I love nature. Many of the city folks, quite frankly, think that nature gets in the way of things. We love in winter to watch the thousands of geese in the skies. We love the formations and honking sounds. It's like a huge parade in the sky. Many of my work thinks it's a nuisance. The Arboretum is our sanctuary. We try to go there at least a few days a week. We only live about 10 minutes away. We love all the 4 seasons. I have lived in Kansas now for 6 years, so we have witnessed the beautiful changes that nature goes through. The earth Gaia is alive and speaks to you. The older I get, I'm getting more in touch with the beauty of nature. The earth is a part of us. We are interconnected. We live this life and have forgotten our precious connection.
My wife and I love to go to Barnes & Noble. We love to relax in our comfy chairs and look at books and magazines. My wife likes to look at the Sedona Journal. She keeps telling me about Cryon, who's channeled by Lee Carroll. She probably told me around 5 times, and finally I said, okay, I'll take a look. At first I wasn't impressed. He would always start by his standard greeting. Greetings, dear one. I am Cryon of Magnetic Service. I was thrown a curveball because I really didn't understand this concept. The more I read the channel material, the more I understood this incredible message. Imagine all the past great masters unifying themselves into the magnetic grid of this planet. You might say, so what? Imagine so many great masters said they would be returning back to Earth and help human beings to realize their true nature. The more I heard and listened with an open heart, I realized this was indeed true. Can you imagine that this magnetic grid is built with the love of God? If we didn't have a magnetic grid surrounding the human being, the Earth, human beings would no longer be alive. This is the problem of space travel. They need to simulate the magnetics of the Earth. We have this incredible DNA. Scientists have broken the code and said that 93% of our DNA is junk DNA. Ryan has said it's not junk DNA, but multidimensional DNA. This is a huge difference. Ryan has written a book called The 12 Layers of DNA. I highly suggest that you read this book. Your life will change if you do. Magnetics from our DNA and the magnetics from Gaia, Mother Earth, are in communication with one another. I know this sounds incredible, but it's true. This is a small part of the story. Ryan's main message is that you don't need any teacher or guru to find your way home. All the tools exist inside of you. All of humanity believes in a higher self, yet we go on a merry way without even trying to connect to it. Imagine this higher self is multidimensional. What does that mean? You are the sun, the moon, and the stars. You are the universe. You are God. Because you are linear, you say, I'm George or I'm Barbara. Who are you really? That is the puzzle of life. On the other side is the multidimensional energy or cosmic soup, which contains all. Can you take salt out of a soup? You can't. We have the higher self inside of us, and yet we think we are alone. We are never alone. Because of free choice, we have closed the door and continue to search for God outside of ourselves. This is the incredible game that God set up. We are the ones with our intent that request to open the door to our higher selves and discover who we truly are. Imagine the entire universe is supporting us, but can't say or do anything until we consciously give intent and begin this process of self-discovery. What's beautiful about this process is how peace on earth will happen. By changing yourself and by discovering yourself, you will truly radiate love, tolerance, and compassion to all. You will be a human being. You won't try to convert anyone because life does not need anyone to be converted. A lighthouse just shines. It doesn't know that the ship that sails by. The lighthouse exists in dangerous shores, yet it shines the light so bright that it helps protect the boat to reach the harbor. I could go on and on. The past year has been extremely slow at work, and I had the wonderful opportunity to listen and read this wonderful material. My understanding and practical experience has grown exponentially. Words cannot describe how my relationship to this planet, the universe, and to God has been so personal. This is an incredible time to be alive. Peace will be on this planet. It may not seem like it, but peace will prevail. We are all shaped by our family. I feel so fortunate to be blessed to be born to this family life. My parents and grandparents raised me to where my life is today. I really was nurtured in love and consideration of others. I learned how to respect life and respect all human beings. The sense of adventure and the sense of learning with joy was instilled in me. Life was incredible. At a young age, I was introduced to seeing the future and bringing ideas into the present. I was only 2 years old when my dad and grandfather built the house of the future. At my young age, my mom and dad introduced me to ethnic cuisine from around the world. To this day, I love trying out different and new cuisines. My mom gave me the sense of travel. She loved to travel, and that was instilled in me. I learned how to appreciate different customs, ways of seeing things, and being open to life. Life taught me to appreciate every country and value its essence. My grandmother Josie taught me the love of God. She'd always say that God loves you. Her mother was friends with Mary Baker Eddy, the founder of Christian Science. My brother-in-law and I loved being in her company. She was a joy to be around. She played the piano and sang many wonderful songs to us. During the winter, she would go to the Palm Desert and bring back pine nuts and fresh dates. She had a juicer that was handed down to my brother after many years of use. My grandfather's cliff hobby was rock collecting. When they came to visit, he would do a slideshow of his current trip. My wife Barbara would have been great friends if he was still alive. As a family, we would love to visit my grandmother and grandfather in Santa Barbara. I remember going to horse shows and going to the Elvis Presley movies. My grandfather would make the world's best enchiladas. I have the recipe on my cooking site. This dish is over 60 years old. I have had many incredible times being with them. During the holidays, both sides of my grandparents would come to visit. I love the sense of family in the air. My brother and I will always remember the times my dad would drive us to go surfing. We would get to the ocean very early in the morning. My dad would drive to Big Corona, and we would surf until noon, and then we'd paddle through the harbor for an hour. My dad suffered a stroke and was in a coma for a month. When he came out of the coma, he was changed completely. For the first time, I saw that he knew it was a miracle to be alive. His entire outlook on life changed. He realized that life is precious. He lived another 10 years after that. He saw that he had a golden opportunity to experience life at its fullest. My mom has taught me to see the bright side of life. If you're down in the dumps, she taught me, and only you can pull yourself up. Attitude is everything. She taught me to enjoy the adventures of life. I gained so much from her and her way of thinking. She taught me not to hold on to the past and to forgive what others have done to you. She has a great sense of humor, which I love. What can I say about my twin brother John? We came into this world together and are such good friends. We had the same path of self-discovery. Both of us have been meditating for over 45 years. He has discovered a passion in writing music. In the past 4 years, he has created over 1,000 songs. He creates songs about life and the incredible journey of life. My daughter, Aaliyah, has really become an incredible person. She is kind, full of wisdom, and loves to help people. She is deeply spiritual without any pretense. She has a great heart. I'm tremendously proud of her. My daughter, Leilani, has really blossomed in the last 10 years. She got married to a wonderful man named Moai. He is from Egypt. They have 3 beautiful children. I love their family. They're an inspiration for me. Family truly is the backbone of life.
Where do we come from? If you ask any indigenous person where we come from, and they will point towards the stars. It's amazing that throughout the entire world, they have their own creation story yet all of them are so similar. All of them say, we came from the stars. I find that quite fascinating. Little Ricky and little Johnny knew they came from the stars. How did they know? Why did they feel they were a stranger in a strange land? Why did both of them love to meditate and discover the jewel within? Most of their friends probably thought they were crazy. Little Ricky knew his soul was eternal. He knew the soul was never created, nor will never die. The body will. He had visions of coming from the Pleiades. At a young age, he definitely didn't tell anyone. He could tell his brother, but no one else. What was incredible, that little Ricky had a glimpse of his true nature at a young age. He knew he came from the stars, yet he knew he didn't have the full picture. To be honest, that can be quite frustrating. It's like living in a dream where you have forgotten your true nature. You have amnesia, yet there is signs that you remember who you truly are. Why is this so important to remember? Well, this world can be a crazy place. We have lost touch of our true nature. We are so out of touch with our true nature that we cringe when someone tells us there's a jewel that lies within. We don't want to grab a shovel and dig for the jewel. Somehow, we are content of where we are in life. We see in America the mass killings, yet we don't change the laws. Fortunately, millions of people are waking up from their slumber. The sun is arising in the sky. There was a dark night for thousands of years. Darkness has prevailed, yet darkness is simply the absence of light. The light is shining, and darkness has no place to hide. Just look at all the craziness in the world today. Darkness has no place to hide. I remember when I was young that Carl Sagan said that we're all made of stardust. The entire Earth is made of stardust. Isn't that incredible? If you are bored with that statement, then you are the universe. You just don't know it. But you can. If you're bored with that statement, that is your free will and free choice. All we are saying is that you have forgotten your true nature. You are magnificent. The universe will never judge you. You are never alone. This journey is not an easy journey. To be honest, it's quite challenging. You never get bored, that's for sure. Little Ricky and little Johnny love this adventure. Both of them have a grand roller coaster of a ride. At times you want to hold on for dear life, and at times it's a walk in the park. This story is not the usual story. It's told from the heart and soul of little Ricky. Did you know the more you write, the more you discover who you truly are? It's like peeling an onion. There are so many layers to peel